So, good morning. Most of you know me already. I am Shawn Woods. Okay, ladies, let's bring it down. We don't have the mic today. Some people have a hard time hearing, me included. So, you know me. I am Shawn Woods. We have been doing this seminar series for about a year and a half. And why do we do it? Why do I take time out of my life to come here? I do it because I truly care. I've been through this. I've been through it 3 times, and I've done it the hard way, and I know how painful that was. It's painful for your family to go through a probate. It sucks. You're trying to grieve the loss of a loved one, and here you are having to sort through their stuff and be Sherlock Holmes and figure out where the bank accounts are. It is not fun. And then when it came to the real estate piece, to sell their real estate, I was nothing but a paycheck to them. All they saw was one big dollar sign. And there was no care, there was no compassion, nothing. So when I moved to Florida, I said, I didn't have a job, right? So I said, I'm gonna get my real estate license and I'm gonna help people. And I did just that. I got some of the most difficult cases here to deal with, and I handled them very well, I think. And because of that, I also learned that it sucked for them too, no matter how caring and helpful I was. So that's when I went back to get more education. I went back to school. I got a certified senior housing professional credential, which is like getting a master's degree. It was 800 hours of study, and I shut my business down to devote myself 100% to that, because I realized that it was so much more important to see the whole picture of a person's situation. In this room, every single one of you has a different situation, different goals, and different things you want to do. And what's I need to be able to do is to understand that and have the tools and resources in my belt to help you get where it is you want to go. Whether that's staying in your home, moving to the community, moving back up north, whatever it is, I have tools and resources to do that. And that's who I have here today, is people who are in my tool belt. You guys should be okay without the mic. Yeah, we're fine. They can hear me. Okay. And everyone's going to speak up.
I was going to sing.
He's going to sing. So anyways, we have a great panel today, but a couple of housekeeping things. I have talked to you guys about this downsizing workshop. It was supposed to happen last week. Someone got me sick in my office, and so that whole thing fell apart. And then we were thinking about having it next week, but I've heard that some of you might not be here. So if you were interested in that, write on your sheet that you know, check that box, and then let's, because it's going to be a small group, we can move the date and figure out what's best for everybody. I know everyone's traveling right now. Talk about trying to get speakers, you know, people are not around. So it's a downsizing workshop. It's for people who really have decided, like, I want to make the move, I want to do something, but I don't know how to start. I've got all this stuff. Like, what am I going to do? So we're going to work through and create a plan. In this workshop, we'll create a plan. And then I'm also going to see who wants to start a club. We're going to start like a support group club. So we all help each other, we meet, and we're accountable. It's like, did you clean out your junk drawer like you said you were going to do last week? You did it. Now, June, why did you clean out your junk drawer? You said you're going to do it. Let's look at that.
I fall into that category.
Yeah, but see, so, and I'm going to do it too, because guess who's got a lot of junk? Me. And I don't need it. So there's those things. So anyways, we talked, we have been talking about this whole year, it's been talking about making a move, or what are we gonna do? We're gonna age in place, we're gonna go to a community, we're gonna go live on a cruise ship. I mean, what are we gonna do? But how are we gonna pay for that? So there's a lot of creative ways we can do that, and I've got some experts up here, people who've been handpicked to speak to you. And I'm gonna go first, let them introduce themselves and say what they do, and then we'll start with the questions. Okay? So Heidi, would like to go first?
Hi, good morning, and thank you for having me. So I am Heidi Friedman. I am a board-certified elder law attorney in the state of Florida. I'm one of 114 board-certified elder law attorneys in the entire state, actually 115 now. So I work actually exclusively with seniors 65 and older, and helping get qualified for government benefits to help pay for long-term care, whether they're at home in assisted living facilities or in skilled nursing facilities. We do estate planning to help prepare for that, and we also do crisis planning. So it's all kinds of VA and Medicaid stuff. Yeah. So.
And then this is, last time I told you I found the lady who does reverse mortgages on condos. That's her.
Good morning. I am Tony Taylor. I am the owner of Interconnect Mortgage. I've been in the business for over 35 years. And I do all kinds of mortgages, but I have a special passion for the reverse mortgage product. And one of the things that we believe, our philosophy is that that is one piece of your life. I cannot singularly guide you as to whether that is the right solution without the collaboration of you, any family members that you involve, your attorneys, your financial planners, etc. There is no way for anybody to tell you it is the right thing without taking all of those things into consideration to make sure that you're getting the right guidance. So again, mortgages for a long time, been around for a hot minute, and my office is right here in Palm Beach Gardens.
Yeah, she's just on Burns Road. Okay, David.
I'm Dave Loader. I am 30, this is my 31st year in the business. I can't believe you beat me.
I tried, I started early.
Right out there, didn't you? 31 years helping clients plan for and achieve their goals from the financial side. So we do private wealth management, which covers a lot of things, but I'm a certified financial planner, so I look at things different. And I wish I could have recorded the call I had on the way over here with a new potential client, where I went through my questions off the top of my head, because I've done it so many times. There are solutions within people's situation that they don't even know are there.
Yes.
Whether it's a veteran situation or an insurance policy that might be used a different way than they intended originally, or other things. So we help people kind of look at what they got, where they're at, and then help them plan for what my parents are going through right now. My dad is in the process of turning on his long-term care insurance policy because we walk the walk. We don't just talk the talk over here. So my parents have 2 nice long-term care policies, and I'm learning from that angle what fun and joy it is as an adult child.
Yeah, and
coaching
that's
your parents through.
I mean, I guess that's why we're here too, because I'm advocating for those adult children. You know, I'm an only child, but I got to do everything for my aunts, uncles, and you know, and I see it through different lens of how it gets complicated and it's hard, and we live differently. Like the woman doesn't stay home anymore and cook while the husband goes off. Everybody has to work now. It's like a whole different dynamic. So when we think about that, it's good that we have our tools together and understand and have a plan so that we can automate some of those processes, and having people like this is leveraging our lives so that it's a little easier for us. So we're going to start with Heidi first, because this is something I did not know about. I did not know about Veterans Aid and Attendance, and because she is an expert and she speaks on it often, I would like her to explain to us, you know, kind of what it is, who gets it, and all that. So,
Okay, so I just realized you were going to ask me about the history of it. So
well, we don't have to have the history.
That's okay. The history of it, which I just found out, it started about 1952. So basically what the benefit is, when you're a veteran, there are several different benefits, right? You have your service-connected benefits, those are for people who have suffered some kind of injury during service. You have housing, there's all kinds of benefits. But the benefit that I'm talking about is really basically a little-known benefit called aid and attendance, and it's an enhanced pension. It's one of the few benefits that are there not only for the veteran, but it's also for their surviving spouse. The requirements are that, number one, you have to at least have served 90 days in an armed service. So reservists do not count. You have to have served, and you have to have served during at least one day during a wartime. Now, I get a lot of people who've said to me, but my father didn't see didn't see war, didn't go there, wasn't boots on the ground. It doesn't matter. As long as one day of their service, of that 90 days, is during a wartime period, you and your spouse can qualify for this benefit. In addition, for the surviving spouse, you cannot be divorced or remarried. So I always, every time I do these kind of seminars, I always tell my ladies, if you were married to a wartime veteran who has since left us, and you are now dating another gentleman who is not a wartime veteran, then you need to continue to live in sin. Do not marry him. On the other hand, if you were married to a non-wartime veteran, and you're single now, go find yourself a wartime veteran. Because the benefit is there for you. It doesn't matter how long you were married, just get him to the altar, ladies. So I really do want to start a dating service called Wartime Veterans. Here we are. I just thought that would be a great service for all of our people. So anyway, the benefit basically is a tax-free dollar that is paid directly to the veteran and or the surviving spouse, right into your bank account, unless of course you are considered to have some kind of dementia, then you do have to have a fiduciary. But for a surviving spouse, because I do see there's a lot of women in here, I'm just saying that for a surviving spouse, it is about $15.15 a month tax-free. And if you are a married veteran and you're the one that's ill, it's all the way up to almost $2,800 tax-free. So now everybody's like, oh wow, that's great, but how do we get there? So like I said, there are some requirements there. Number one, you do have to have wartime service. The veteran has to have had wartime service. They have to have they have to have served at least 90 days, 1 day during that wartime. You have to medically need the program. It is a doctor-driven program. I can't automatically say, yes, you can get it. You need to have assistance with 2 or more what we call your activities of daily living. Bathing, dressing, toileting, transferring, and or eating. Or you have to also, or you can be blind, there's like their definition of blind, or you could have some dementia or something like that. So you definitely need to have a medical diagnosis or a medical reason to have this benefit. You also then need to meet the income and the assets. And this is where a lot of people get like, oh, I can't do this. So the income, well, let me talk about the assets. The assets first. In 2018 is when the VA came out and said, okay, we're gonna have a bright line test for assets. The assets are you can have no more than $155,000, excluding your house, car, and prepaid burials, actually family vehicles. So you can have vehicles, so go buy a vehicle for everybody. So your vehicles. If you have more than that, there is planning that we can do. There's pre-planning, which is planning that you can do now. That's okay, with your estate plan called a Veteran Asset Protection Trust, which will allow you to qualify for the benefits within 36 months. Do it right. Or there is some crisis planning right now, like let's say you needed it right now, you could do something called a personal service contract and get some of those dollars out of your name over to family members again. The whole purpose of doing anything that I do is that when you are paying for long-term care, you literally have 3 buckets of money to pay for care, right? You have your private money, and that's your money that you have right now. And at this age, most of us are not still working, and we're not gonna all of a sudden get a big bonus or anything. So your private money is your private money. You have your long-term care insurance if you were, and I don't want to say if you were proactive enough to get it, which is great. And then you have your government benefits, right? So the whole goal of this is to be able to protect as much of your first bucket by tapping into those government benefits. The other piece, the other financial piece is that your gross monthly income has to be outweighed by unreimbursed medical expenses. Now, the great thing about 2018 is that they came out and said that if you live in an independent living facility, or if you're living in an assisted living facility, or if you have a family member that's helping you, you can pay that family member, right? So it's a with a doctor. You could actually pay your family member, or the entire cost of the ALF, or the entire cost of the ILF can be considered an unreimbursed medical expense. So that's a big thing. So if you have somebody, or you're in an independent, or you have somebody who's living in assisted, you can actually take that monthly benefit and make it an unreimbursed medical expense, deduct it from your gross monthly income, and then you can get the full benefit. So, I could talk on and on and on about being an attendant.
Did you touch on asset protection and what that looks like and what the look back period is?
Yeah, so there is a look back period of 36 months for aid and attendance. And like I said, if you are proactive, one of the things you can do, I do estate planning for 65 and older. And the reason why is because at this age, God willing, I don't know if this will happen to me, but our children have finally flown the coop, right? I got a 21-year-old that's still hanging on. So they finally have flown the coop, and hopefully they have their own lives and their own things. So your estate plan is no longer, I know when our kids are younger, when we are younger, our estate planning is more like, how can I make sure that when I die, I have enough money, or I've left enough money for my family to continue on, right? At this age, at this stage of your life, now your estate planning should really be, how can I set up my estate plan to allow me to qualify for other benefits so that I don't run out of money paying for long-term care? Because let's face it, long-term care, whether you need care at home, you need care in assisted living, or you need care in a nursing home, is extraordinarily expensive. So one of the things that we can do with your estate plan is do what I called a veteran asset protection trust. It is an irrevocable trust, and I know everybody gets like, oh my God, not irrevocable, but it is an irrevocable trust where at the beginning, you can still do some control on the parameters of what's in that trust. You can also still have control upon your death. So there is still control in an irrevocable trust, just so you know, people are not like, locked in forever. And if you transfer assets into that irrevocable trust, you can trigger a 36-month period of time when, yes, you won't qualify for this benefit, but after that, you can qualify for the aid and attendance and still have that money in that irrevocable trust to be able to be used, another bucket, for additional care. Because let's face it, even at 15 for a surviving spouse, it's not gonna be enough to help you pay for a lot of care, but it is certainly another resource for you.
Okay, good.
I hope I'm,
Yeah, so that's a lot, okay?
yeah, I know it's a
see our
lot, there's a
brains are
lot.
smoking
Yes,
now.
my brain is smoking, so.
Yes.
So do you have, when you name these particular plans, I didn't get it down quick enough. Do you have
Yeah,
a piece
I
of
didn't
paper to?
So I do have a brochure on there.
Oh,
The
okay.
brochure, I started a new company, so I have my own practice. It's called Friedman Elder Law Department, and that really is focusing more on Medicaid planning and estate planning. I just opened up a new company called Veteran Aid and Planning Services.
Okay.
And that's really more for your veterans that are right now looking for the benefit. So if you're,
A little slower.
I'm sorry, I know I talk fast, people think I'm from New York, but I'm really just from Florida. It's crazy. I blah, blah, blah. So it is called Veteran Aid and Planning Services, but you can also reach me at, I'm Heidi Friedman, Elder Law. So, yep, so you can reach out to us at any time, and the benefit is called Aid and Attendance.
Aid in attendance.
A-N-D, attendance. Now, it is a enhanced pension for non-service connected and wartime veterans or surviving spouses to be able to get a monthly payment tax-free directly into your bank account to help pay for long-term care. I know I talk fast. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so everything you just said is predicated on whether you are a veteran or you were married to a veteran.
Yes,
Okay?
That served during wartime.
that served during
Yeah.
wartime.
uh-huh.
And it could have
Okay.
been, the administrator.
Wartime. So wartime is there. I don't have them all memorized, but there is there is wartime. So right now, I'm going to tell you, I'm seeing a lot of Vietnam veterans, a lot.
Yes, Vietnam, the Korean War.
There's the Korean War. But interestingly enough, I get a lot of people who either think they were wartime or think they weren't wartime, and they are or they aren't. So it's crazy. When I first started this, I actually even had World War I people still. So I hate that I'm not old, but okay, there I am. So we, again, don't have to be boots on the ground, just so you know.
Yeah.
So
Yes,
she
ma'am.
asked the question, but I don't know if you answered it or if I didn't catch it. The name of the program that you started describing to us about long-term care, what is the title of that program?
It's called Veteran Aid and A&D Attendance Benefits.
Attendance?
Attendance, like-
Yep. And basically the reason why is because technically it's the individual needs an aid or an attendant to help them.
Okay, so
That's
then,
the
and
whole
also you mentioned the asset limit was 155,000.
Yes.
And then you mentioned something about there was also a limit or a restriction on your gross monthly income?
So income has to be outweighed by unreimbursed medical expenses. So if you have income of $2,500 or $3,000 or $4,000 and you're paying for home health care even, that's costing you $4,500. That outweighs your income, so that now your income for VA purposes, it's actually called IVAP, income for VA purposes is zero, and you'll get the full benefit.
But what is that gross monthly income?
There's no gross, what's the word I'm looking for?
Standardized.
There's no bright line test. It's not like, okay, 2,000. So for Medicaid, you can have no more than $2,901 in gross monthly income, right? VA is not like that. VA is like, it does not matter what your income is. as long as it's outweighed by unreimbursed medical expenses. So think about it this way. The VA says you can use all of your income to pay for all of your long-term care. We don't care if you can eat, if you can pay your housing, we don't care. It all has to be used for unreimbursed medical expenses. And if that's the case, we're gonna give you this benefit to help you pay for the other stuff. So it really depends on what you're paying out of pocket for your medical expenses.
And then the 155,000 still applies as well?
Yes, that's your assets. So you're talking assets and income.
Okay.
Two different
Okay,
financial requirements.
okay, thank you.
Can you repeat that number for Medicaid? Was it 2,901?
So Medicaid, yes, Medicaid is different. Medicaid, and I do a lot of Medicaid, and I don't want to take up too much people's time, but.
I just wanted the figure, I understand.
In order to qualify for Medicaid, now Medicaid is a huge umbrella of different services, right? You have food stamps, you have housing, I have a son with special needs, he has Medicaid insurance, that's not what I'm talking about. Medicaid has two specific programs that help individuals pay for long-term care, whether they're at home, in an assisted living facility, or in a skilled nursing. It's the Home and Community-Based Waiver Program, and it's the ICP, or Institutionalized Care Program. And I will tell you, the ICP program is one of the most financially significant programs that anybody offers. It pays the entire cost of a nursing home minus your gross monthly income, right? So if a nursing home is costing $15,000, but your gross income is $2,400, you're paying $2,300 for that nursing home, for the same nursing home, same room, same whatever, somebody laying next to you is paying $15,000 for. It's not a Medicaid.
What was the figure?
The number is, in order to qualify, your income can be no more than $2,901. But if it is more than that, there is planning. You can still get qualified, so don't let that stop you. And the asset limit for Medicaid is no more than $2,000, excluding your house, your car, your prepaid burials. If there's a spouse, they can have up to $154,000, again, excluding your house, your car, your prepaid burials. But 99.9% of the people do not meet those requirements, financial requirements, and that's what we do as the elder law. We have planning strategies to be able to allow you to qualify for those programs either immediately or through your estate plan within 60 months.
And the spouse can have, again, how much?
It's about $154,000.
So today we were supposed to have a lady from the Area Agency on Aging. She was gonna talk about Medicare benefits, which Medicare and Medicaid are different.
Very
Medicaid
different.
is based on income, and Medicare is
Your insurance.
Your
So
insurance.
Medicaid is a program to help pay for long-term care. Medicare is your insurance. So if you go to an insurance person, you buy insurance, your medical insurance.
But I think I'm gonna have her come back, because she broke her ankle pretty bad, so she's not coming. But what she does is so important, and I wanna try to get her to talk to you guys before open enrollment starts, because then we won't see her. She will be gone. But, okay, let's move on to Tony to talk about a reverse mortgage. Now, before we came in here today, I talked to two people and said, we're gonna talk about reverse mortgages, and you both proudly announced that you don't have a mortgage. But that just tells me that there's a huge misconception around what a reverse mortgage is. You don't need to have a mortgage to do a reverse. You are sitting on a pot of gold in your house. There's a lot of equity. Now, whether you harvest that or not, that's what Tony will figure out. But I told you this before, during COVID, when we had the mass migration, the state of Florida saw a 64% increase in home equity. It's like, it just shot up. Because after 2008, when the crisis happened and the real estate market collapsed, builders stopped building because there's a glut of inventory on the market. So they stopped building, we don't have homes, and now all of a sudden people want to move, there's no homes, so the prices shot up to where it really should have been had we followed the regular 4% appreciation every year. But we did it differently, and now your house pretty much doubled in price, most of you. So Tony can talk to you about what a reverse mortgage is, and what kind of a tool it is, and how you can use it.
So I want to start with a question. How many people here believe that a reverse mortgage means you're giving your house up? You're wrong.
Yeah, it's not true.
That is probably one of the biggest misconceptions about the program out there. You never give ownership of your home up. You always maintain possession of your property. The difference between a reverse mortgage and a traditional mortgage, which is also known as a forward mortgage, is simply that you do not make monthly payments on principal and interest until you no longer live in the home permanently, you pass away, or you don't ever intend on returning to the home. And I use that, there's a little bit of a gray space there that I've had some clients take benefit of, if you will. So I want to share, we had a client, I spoke to the kids last week. The mother took a reverse mortgage out 15 years ago. She now owes $250,000 on her house, and her house is worth $400,000. Mom is at a point where she needs to downsize. She cannot manage the property any longer, so they're going to sell the property, and they were concerned about what do we do with this reverse mortgage, and I said, it's just a loan against the property. All we do is pay it off. Everything between there and the closing cost and the sale price is yours to move into the next property, retain for mom for her capital, however you guys see fit that you want to move forward on that. And I share that because I think it's super important. A lot of people think that the minute you do a reverse mortgage, that you're basically going to lose all of that gap between what you owe and that value of the property. But that is not what happens all the time. And you know, I always kind of say, if you outlive that equity, congratulations, you won. So when you take a reverse mortgage out, it is a very individual decision and recommendation. And it should be, as I mentioned earlier, a collaborative process to make a determination whether that is the right fit for you. A lot of times, and I don't know, do any of you know that you can actually buy a home with a reverse mortgage? Okay. So what we're actually seeing is we're seeing a lot of people, especially in the condo environment where the homeowners association fees are getting really significant. You may still be able to afford to be on your own, but those homeowners association dues are making it financially, you know, you're not gonna have a choice. So what we're seeing is, okay, let's do the downsize, let's sell, let's find a property that's going to be easier to maintain and has less recurring expenses, lower taxes, lower insurance, and lower HOA fees. And then we roll that equity from that home into the new property, so you can get into that home, and the only thing that you have to pay on a monthly basis or annual basis is going to be your homeowner's insurance, your property taxes, and any association or maintenance dues that are relevant to the community. So it really is a vehicle that has been put into place for you to help use this equity in your home to live more comfortable, to remain financially free. We have a lot of adult children that are supplementing their parents because they don't understand that this is a tool that's available to them. And in some, you know, sometimes that's, you know, if the kids have the resources and it's not putting a strain on the family, then great. But if the kids don't really have the resources, it can cause a lot of problems. And sometimes it's not even just about them having the resources. Sometimes it's other dynamics with siblings, spouses of siblings, spouses themselves, etc. So, you know, I don't know about you guys. I'm gonna make a broad assumption here. I'm a pretty proud individual, and I personally don't like to ask for a lot of help. And I don't think that that's uncommon. I think a lot of us want to stand independent as long as we possibly can. And the reverse mortgage can be a tool that comes in and helps you actually accomplish that. Now, on the condo component, there are what we call approved lists, and most reverse mortgages are government guaranteed, and they're government guaranteed and non-recourse. So what that means is that, let's just say you did go, and I'll use the financial crisis as a window of time because we did see home values fall significantly during that time period, and that's probably the biggest impact that we've seen in our lifetimes, most of us. So in that scenario, if you took a mortgage out in 2006 on a reverse and your property dropped 50% in value, you might have been in an upside equity position. Well, the great news is as long as you're living there and you're still occupying that property, you just continue on matching the terms of how that reverse mortgage was established until you pass away or no longer live in the house permanently. Okay? So you really have this vehicle, you're protected from them, and they never modify that. If you're set up on a line of credit, that never gets modified. Whatever your terms are when you close on that mortgage are the terms for your life of that mortgage. Okay, now let's go, okay, we took the reverse mortgage out in 2006 and tragically you passed away in 2010. And you had a negative equity position because the market was still in that financial turmoil and that down cycle. They do not come after your estate and they do not come after your family for that money. That money is forgiven. It's basically non-recourse. And if you lived in a home that was a family home that you want to maintain in your family home for reasons, then the heirs actually have the opportunity to buy the house for 95% of the market value, not what is owed on the property. So you really do have the ability to retain your property and then use this. Now, another component is, and this is where collaboration is critical. These are things that I am not an expert in. I would lean to somebody like Heidi. There are ways to utilize this to help you get more financial benefits, because if you have a reverse mortgage on your home, it is now a liability. So you can shift your equity and your assets so that you can then access additional funds in other government sources, because you've now tied this up. And again, that's Heidi's lane, that's her area of expertise, and that's why it's so important that there's a collaborative process that goes on with these transactions and not a singular conversation. It's very important. It's very personal, and everybody's situation, as Shawn mentioned earlier, is very unique and very specific. There is no one size fits all. Now, a reverse mortgage can be set up if you have, does anybody in here still have a mortgage on their home? A couple people. So you can, there are several different ways this can be done. You can eliminate the mortgage and no longer have to make a principal and interest monthly payment. Okay? I'm sorry. Sorry, that's so you can get rid of that, so you can eliminate that monthly liability for yourself. Now, depending on your equity position, you may be able to not only eliminate it, extract additional capital out of the property, or what's more commonly utilized is a line of credit is established. And so now that equity is sitting there, and if you need to get into it, you can, whether it's a monthly draw for an increase in your income, whether it's the house or the property needs some type of a capital improvement, a new roof, something significant like that. And obviously the limits will be specific to the property. The amounts that you can borrow are much lower than if you went out and got a traditional FHA or conventional mortgage on something, because what they do is they go, okay, well, how old are you? What is the property worth? And what are the interest rates today? Those three numbers are going to determine how much of that property can be borrowed against. So the older you are and the lower the interest rates are, the more money you can access. Okay? And basically what happens is, if you set it up, if you didn't have a mortgage on your home right now and you decided, you know what, I'm running out of my other resources, I'm going to be in trouble if I don't position myself to where I have access to get this equity out of my home without selling it, you establish the reverse mortgage, you have a line of credit, and then you can tap into that line of credit based on the parameters as those needs arise. Now, let's say you sit there for 5 years and you haven't had any needs to tap into that equity. Well, your available limit is also increasing if you're not borrowing the maximum available amounts, because they know that a property in a normal environment is appreciating also. So they take a 4% appreciation calculation to be able to say, okay, well, if we had the house today and it was worth $100,000, every year it's going up 4%. And every year, if you have an outstanding balance, your balance is going to go up because you are accruing interest while you're not making payments. You can pay down on it, but most people don't. So you can start to see that, again, we see a lot of downsizing right now. People that are in the condo associations and can't afford the association dues, or have been really hit hard by assessments to bring the communities up to code. So we're seeing a lot of people make the decision there to actually move out of those developments and into developments with more affordable homeowners association dues. And again, that's where a collaborative conversation comes into play. And the other piece that's got to come into this is if you have medical needs. Because if you do have physical limitations, the property that you're in today, as well as if you are making a move, the ability for that property, number one, to be manageable financially. Is it going to need a new roof in 5 years? Is it going to need other major components, AC, the big ticket items? But also, are you physically capable of staying independent in that property? If you have medical issues that are limiting you from stairs to, whatever the case may be, if you've got devices, wheelchairs and mobility devices that are going to require modifications, we've got to have that conversation. I'm never going to advise somebody that I know is going to vacate a property in a short amount of time to take a reverse mortgage. It should be a long play. It is not a Band-Aid kind of move. So we have a client right now that I've been working with. She's incredibly vibrant, 70 years old. She still works. She owns a nonprofit business. She's very, very active, but she's 70, right? I mean, we don't know what the future holds. Hopefully she'll continue on like this until she passes in her late 90s, and who knows, now we make her a centurion. But if something does happen to her, she has her Social Security income. There's no pension. She's been self-employed. So she's got to make sure, and she's in an HOA community with $1,200 a month. Well, we've got to make sure that her next move positions her to get her hands on the capital and the resources should her income take a pivot, because realistically, her income is going to take a pivot at some point in time. So
It's a lot of times, someone was asking me, why are the HOA fees, why are they going up so much? One, the collapse at Surfside, and two, the insurance. It's the insurance that's killing everybody.
Well, it's also because of the collapse, the Florida legislators came out with all new requirements, so now everybody has to come up to code, and it's costing.
Yeah, it's costing a lot of money.
For the parameters on the line of credit, can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, so what will happen is, based on your age, the interest rates, and the property value, there's gonna be a ceiling amount that you're gonna be eligible to borrow. And then, depending on whether or not you have a mortgage or don't have a mortgage right now, you can just set it up so that it's available to take out. That number will be established at the time your loan is taken. If you were paying off other debt, then you would be advancing some of that availability on the front end of that, and whatever's left, you then would have the ability to access. Most of the time, we see it done several different ways. Most of the time, people will take out, if they've got a mortgage, they're paying it off so they can eliminate that principal and interest obligation on a monthly basis. And then they're letting it sit there. In the event that they need it, they get into it. But there are times that they have, if they own a property free and clear, where they'll set it up so that it automatically gives them a certain dollar amount every single month towards their income. So there are several, the bottom line is you have a lot of control over how it gets done. You'll have your limits, your age, the property, the interest rate. And the reason the interest rates are such a variable is because the higher the interest rates are, then the faster it's going to deplete your equity, right? So the lower the interest rates are, then the slower it's gonna deplete your equity. So does that help clarify that? I know it doesn't, it's hard to put numbers to it because it's such a specific transaction to everybody.
It does, but is this money available for anything, for any
Yes.
need?
Yes.
Not
The
necessarily
only thing I will
just for
tell
your
you that,
home.
yeah, if anybody ever told you, take it to Vegas and put it on black, they could go to jail, they would go to jail. Okay? The intentions are that you're going to, you're not gonna be guided to make risky decisions with it. It is to ensure quality of life, ensure independence, and I mentioned earlier about when you leave the home, either you pass away or you move into an assisted facility. We did have a family who, the mother was put into a facility down in Boca, and the kids they use the home, they don't live here, which is common for us, right? So the kids wanted to keep the house because when they come visit, they want a place to stay without the additional expense of housing. So there is a clause that says as long as your intention is to return to the home, you can keep that reverse mortgage in place. So they utilize that gray language in that reverse mortgage to retain the house, so that they would have it while they were visiting and caring for their mother, and then when their mom passed, they're now in the process of selling that property.
Yeah.
So that brings up a question. You said you could use the reverse mortgage to buy another home.
Yes,
Then you can move into that home?
yes, you would have to move into that home.
But then what happens to your reverse mortgage? Because I thought the requirements were, in order to maintain it, you had to live in the home.
You wouldn't get
had
it on the house you're leaving, you would get it on the house you're moving to. So you would take all the equity from the home that you're selling, and you would pour it into the new property. You may pay cash and still do a reverse for a line of credit, or you may put a very significant down payment in place and keep the difference out, or just buy the property, have a small mortgage so that it's always unique to the person. Some people will go in and pay cash and get the reverse mortgage. Some people will make the purchase and finance a small amount in the reverse mortgage. Because most of us think if we're buying a home that we're putting 20% down or 10% down. If you were buying a home with a reverse mortgage, again, depending on your age, depending on the interest rates, you would likely be bringing in 60% of the purchase price towards your down payment and then financing the difference.
Then you have to pay the reverse mortgage off when you sell the house.
When you sell the house, you're not getting the reverse mortgage on the house you're leaving, you're getting it on the one you're moving into that you intend on being in for the foreseeable future.
So it comes out of your kids' money.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm completely confused, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, so I have a house and I wanna buy another home.
Yes.
I'm gonna take out the reverse.
To move into or just to have?
Just a house.
Okay. So you want a second home?
No, she's hypothetical.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I'm following you. I want to make sure that the hypothetical is clear. So you want to keep the house you have now.
Well, I don't know that I wanna do that, but when
Oh,
she
yes.
brought up the fact that we could buy another home, I don't know how that
Okay,
works
so
into
if
this.
you own the home, I'm gonna bridge this for you. If you own the home that you live in, right, and your plan is to buy another home and move into the new home,
Okay,
you would sell the house that you're leaving, buy the new house, and instead of getting a traditional mortgage or paying cash, you could do the reverse mortgage on the purchase of the new home.
oh, on the new home, you're
Correct.
doing the reverse mortgage.
Correct.
Oh, okay, I get it now, I'm sorry, too
That's
far.
okay, that's okay, it's a lot of moving parts.
Okay.
It's a lot of
Sorry.
moving parts.
I was trying to take you down the same path, but my path went through the bushes and over a hill. Better what you know.
I see you in the elevator all the time, so you and I can talk about
Well,
this.
we gotta get
We should
David in
carpool.
here. So David comes to us, he's a wealth management group, but he also, in his group, they sell long-term care insurance. So I've asked him to speak about both pieces, because maybe you weren't a veteran, maybe you don't own a home. So some of these things might not apply to you. So David's gonna talk to us about.
I'm gonna start with a plug for these two, because these two do magic
I know,
that I
they
can't
do.
do, and I'm
Yeah.
not licensed to do. I know enough to be dangerous, we recommend all of this
Yeah.
stuff to people all the time.
Yes.
But she can create money out of nowhere with no payments. A HELOC at the bank, you can get a line of credit at the bank on your house to get access to money, but guess what?
You
As soon as you
pay
start drawing that,
payment.
there's a payment, you have to pay the interest.
Yeah.
There's no payment here, so this doesn't affect your cash flow, I'm just
Yeah,
talking
and I
about.
know there's a lot of stigmas around reverse mortgages, and Henry Winkler's on the TV talking about it, and you've heard horror stories from your friends in the past. There's been a lot of regulation updates on them, so it's tightly regulated. None of those fiascos happen anymore. So if it is a good tool for you, she will let you know. If it's not a good tool for you, she will also let you know.
Sorry, I didn't mean to slow
No,
down.
that's okay, but anyway,
I'm a
so,
certified financial planner. My name's David Loader. I've been in the business 31 years. I work for Ocean View Private Wealth as my team at Ameriprise. We're a series of advisors. Rich was going to speak. I'm speaking on behalf of him because we do this all the time. We help each other with each other's clients. If we're out of town, there's always somebody here to take care of what needs to be taken care of. Long-term care insurance has a bit of a checkered past, I will call it, because it started in the 70s, 80s on a meaningful basis, where insurance companies were actually issuing unlimited benefit long-term care policies. And what a long-term care policy is a policy put in place so that later in life, when you have a long-term care event, and you need somebody to come help you with simple stuff at the house at first, like my dad is going through this right now, help him take a shower, help him, get dressed, maybe run a couple errands, maybe help clean the kitchen, simple stuff to take pressure off my mom, because my mom is now doing everything. And for 59 years, she is an absolute saint. She's going to heaven.
yeah.
I'm telling you right now, nothing against my dad, I love my dad, but she's going to heaven. The long-term care industry did a horrible job actuarially of setting these up initially. So for next to nothing, you could have gotten these huge benefits that literally no longer exist. So when I come across these in my planning practice, we get everybody's stuff. What do you have? And then when I see those things, I said, I don't care if you stay with us or go or somewhere else, don't ever let anybody sell this. We'll let you get rid of this. All right? So you literally can't get some of these policies anymore. So fast forward, what's happened is more people are keeping these, more people are using these.
People
that
are
have
living
them.
longer.
People are living longer. And so the insurance companies are raising the premiums. So standalone long-term care insurance might be better for a younger person, but still comes with this additional layer that is the price could change, the premium could change, which doesn't make people feel warm and fuzzy. So an alternative to that is we have hybrid long-term care insurance, which is really life insurance with a rider on it, so that the policy is tilted towards the benefit being exaggerated for the long-term care purposes, but it still comes with the death benefit, and you still have access to the money you use to pay for it. So the phrase is take it, use it, or leave it, is the series. So you have access to, so let's say you had an investment account, and you need long-term care insurance, you can take $50,000 lump sum. I did this for a lady, so I brought an example here so I can show you exactly what happened. She was 55 at the time. She put $50,000 in one-time premium. She always has access to 40 grand of that. 80% of it's her money. She can take it whenever she wants. She'd call me tomorrow. The day after she did it, she'd call me the next day and say, I want my 40%, my 80% back. She can take it. You can use it. So the long-term care benefit started at $207,000 for 50 grand. She bought 4 times that amount in the long-term care benefits. But we also put a cost of living rider on it, so it's growing at 5%. So at 85, she's gonna have a $503,000 bucket of money that she can pull off of on a monthly basis, up to $6,500 a month. Does that make sense? For several years. It's $77,000, $77,795 a year at age 85. Now, I get the feel in the room that people are all over the place age-wise, so I don't want to just focus on what you could have done. But this might be an interesting conversation for children who are in their 50s and 60s or 40s to start talking to somebody about doing this. There are ways to do this if you currently have cash value life insurance in place that you're not using. I know lots of clients that have these huge cash values inside these life insurance policies, people trying to get you to sell them on TV all day long. I don't know if you see the commercials. Sell your life insurance. And the guy's sitting in his house that has the intercoastal behind him, and this huge, they're doing it for a reason, but whatever. And it might be a good opportunity for you. But the life insurance chassis to add a rider for long-term care is the most efficient way to do it because it costs hundreds of dollars a year. Instead of my parents paid in the last 2 months for their policies $14,000 in premium for 2025 to 26 summer. That's just this year's premium. Now that's gone up 100% since we bought it for them 15 years ago. But has anybody's homeowner's insurance gone up recently in the last couple of years? So it tends to happen with insurance companies. So life insurance is a way to kind of manage that. This lady's she's 50, she was 55, she's 62 now. She's never gonna have to pay another premium. She put 50 grand in there. We just earmarked, we circled that money, we called that long-term care money, and it's worth immediately 200 grand, but 500 grand eventually in long-term care benefits. So there's ways to leverage existing investment money or existing insurance, life insurance. You could 1035 money tax-free. We can talk about that another time, but there's other ways to fund this if you have an existing life insurance policy that's just sitting there. And the only way you're gonna benefit from it is you're gonna die. That's why most people think about life insurance. So a little less fun. So the evolution of the industry has kind of made it tougher to use traditional long-term care insurance, but we have better options. And part of some of those options include identifying if somebody's a veteran or whether or not somebody's got their house paid off and they're just living in it and they're not doing anything with it, but they need money for an assessment on a condo or whatever it is. Kids need money because the son wants to start a business, whatever the scenario is. This is a way for somebody to get access to money and not have to make any payments on that money when they take it, which is me pitching you again.
I don't know, but keep going.
I'm thinking from the financial planning side. So, financial planning, we all want to avoid taxes. I mean, can you help sit down? What do you do when you do financial planning? Do you look at everyone's total picture and help
100%.
advise
Collect
them?
copies of your previous taxes. That's one of the first things I ask for. And because I want to know how their income, what income's coming in, how's it being taxed, where's it coming from? Because people always tell me that, I got accounts at Merrill Lynch. So I see the Merrill Lynch statements, but they've got a Fidelity account, a Vanguard account, a T. Rowe Price account, an account, an E-Trade. I had a buddy's parents, this was like a CFP question almost. His parents died in a plane accident. Completely healthy, they just went to dinner. There's an island off of Gainesville, that side of the state. They went to dinner, came back, they went straight in the water. They never found the bodies, so they're never declared dead because you gotta have a body to be dead. This guy, the dad, had accounts with limit orders in the accounts, an online account, and the account's doing trades.
Yeah.
But the son wasn't named on the account.
Oh.
He's the executive of state, but now he's got to convince E-Trade, which you can call E-Trade and get a hold of somebody who can help you there. Good luck. So the market was crashing in 2000, and all these trades are going off, and the son could do nothing about it. Anyways, so having a plan and getting the kids or someone involved that you trust earlier on is super impactful, especially when it comes to taxes. Because I don't do taxes.
No, right.
But like these two, I know enough to be dangerous, and we'll talk to somebody who can help you,
Right.
do better tax planning if you need it.
Right. Yeah. Because all that equity you got, guess what else government says that is? Capital gain.
Oh,
Yeah, so there's a lot of things to think about, so that's why I bring these experts in. We did have a CPA come a few months, I think December, did he come in December? Maybe. But that's something to think about too, so it's good to have smart people in your court to help you, because I don't know this stuff, I just do what I do, you know, but I'm smart enough to surround myself with smart people to help out and guide us in these things. So how many of you, before coming in here, knew any of this stuff today? Nobody. Some of it, you had an idea that it existed, right? But you know, that's why we're doing this, is to educate you, equip you, and empower you to make the good decisions for you as you go forward in your life and make better decisions than my family made, because they didn't make any decisions, and I had to come and play clean up, which is not a great role.
If I may, I think one of the things I would try to impress upon everybody is that when it's too late, it's too late. And you really, if you want to have your wishes honored, you have to make the plan. And, you know, we tell our parents that you earned your money, it's yours. I don't care what you do with it. But I will be really upset if you didn't do the right things and you just hand it over to the government because you didn't take things, or if we go into some nightmare probate process because you didn't take the time to set things up and make sure they were managed. And so it's not just about your financial independence and being able to remain independently sufficient, but it is also about making sure that your wishes are honored and that you capitalize on the tools that are there to help you protect and preserve those things for you, your legacy, whatever you want that to be, even if it's a charitable donation. But it's yours to decide, and in order for that to fall out the way you want it to, you have to go through the process to do the planning.
So any last things that you want to say before that we missed?
So the only thing that I want to say is that for my position, really and truly, it's never really too late to do anything unless you're dead. So, I mean, once you're dead, then obviously it's too late to do anything at that point. But normally, or you become totally incapacitated at some point, then you are definitely leaving your future, your control, whatever, to the hands of somebody else. If you want to be able to control your life, have your independence, and make your own decisions, the time to do that is when you have the capacity to do it, to pre-plan. Pre-planning is so important. But I will tell you that I would say 90% of my practice is people who have not pre-planned, and we are doing crisis planning. Crisis planning is more costly, it leaves you with less opportunity options, so doing pre-planning is so important.
The last thing I would say as an action item today, that everybody here, when you leave, I would urge every one of you to look at every asset that you have, bank accounts, investments, and make sure you have designated beneficiaries on all of them.
Not underage kids, for crying out loud. Please, for the love of Christmas.
The only thing I would say about that is that if you want to have a little bit more control over it, that because you set up a proper trust, and nobody has too little money to set up a trust. So, but you're right. If you're not going to do anything, make sure you have a beneficiary, or else your whole family's going through probate.
Yeah, exactly. And a will not keep you out of probate.
No.
Remember, we learned that.
Where there's a will, there's a probate.
So we're gonna do questions. I wanna do a couple housekeeping items while I have your attention. So, if you're interested in that downsizing workshop, mark the box and I'll call you and we'll figure out a date. The other thing is, every August we do the food drive for St. Ignatius Church, and we do an ice cream social. Last year, we just about sweat ourselves to death at the place, so we are still looking to formalize where we're gonna have it. We vowed we were gonna do it inside with air conditioning, because we almost died. But it's gonna be on August 16th, and it's probably gonna be around noon time, something like that. And I'm thinking about Maddie's Gelato. I just have to get over there and make sure there's room inside for us. But the St. Ignatius Food Pantry is one of the key pantries here in our community. They directly serve people who live here, and in the summer it runs dry because everyone's gone home. So this is a way to kind of stock their shelves and refill things so that they can continue to serve and follow their mission. So I do it every year. It's for someone special to me. It's her birthday that month, so we do it in honor of her. And it's always a great time. We like to have fun and we do parties. And then next month, we are gonna start talking about if you wanna tour a retirement community, what do? You go there, you put your name on the list, they're gonna call you till, the end of the day. So I wanna help get everybody a little trained, we're gonna understand what kind of questions do we ask, how do we do it, do I get placement, for whatever. So we're gonna talk about all the ins and outs so that you go there armed and ready, all right? And then that's for that. You know about your eval sheets. They're yellow this month, I'm running out of pink. So, but just drop them at the table on your way out. It helps me get better, it helps me understand what was good for you, what wasn't good for you, what you'd like to see. You can write me something on the back. And I was informed, we had a seminar here. We were talking about liquidating your estate, and I misspoke. I said the Goodwill was a for-profit business. It is not, it is a 501c3. I do go there. It's not my favorite. I do have some favorites just because of inventory and things like that. But I just wanted to clear that up and make sure that you all knew that. And it's always your individual choice of what you want to do and where you want to go. So, and with that, what questions do you have for these genius people?
Two parts on the condo, reverse mortgage. You said if you're close to 5 years maybe leaving, and you never know, but you wouldn't recommend a reverse mortgage, so why? And secondly, are you finding a lot of opposition to reverse mortgages with condos, or has that eased up?
So here's the thing that a lot of people don't understand in terms of financing a condo, is that there are approved lists. These are government-backed loans. So there are government lists of condos that are on those lists that have already been evaluated and deemed qualified. But there are a lot of condos that are not on those lists. Right. That does not mean that they cannot be written. We do a process, we call it a spot approval process. So instead of approving the entire project, we get you and your unit approved individually through that process.
There could be exceptions.
Correct, yes, and we write a lot of them. It's not uncommon that you can go through that. So a lot of people just assume if you're not on the list and you haven't been rubber stamped that you're disqualified. That is not the case. To answer your second question about the time frame, if you really believe that you're leaving that property in a couple of years, there are some upfront costs on these mortgages that are a little bit more exorbitant. And it would not be, in my opinion, of the right thing to do to tell you, let's spend this money knowing that you're going to vacate. What I would be more likely to do is tell you if that is going to be something and your next move is going to be another independent move, then let's find you the downsize now. What is the benefit of waiting and staying? And why, what's gonna change between now and 5 years? If it's a financial decision, then the sooner you make that, the sooner you stabilize. And moving is hard. It doesn't matter what age you are, but the older we get, it's even harder, right? So if that is something and you're just moving into a new permanent home that's gonna be still a home, then I would tell you do it sooner than later.
I'm thinking at my age, no, the move would be to some sort of senior community, not another condo.
Can I ask a question about that? Yeah. I'm sorry, I just want to bring up a question about that. So you said that you can have the reverse mortgage if there's still an intent to return.
Correct.
Now, if you're going to qualify, so just so you know, a reverse mortgage is a great thing. Also, it's another bucket because the credit line does not count for purposes of that $2,000 I'm talking to you about. My question to you is though, so if I have a client like her who does get a reverse mortgage and then does move to an assisted living or whatnot, but for Medicaid purposes, you always have to have the intent to return. Is that still considered the intent to return?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
that's great to know.
Yes, and that's what a lot of people do, is that intent to return can be a nice little clause, if you will, and even the asset pieces, right? And you could speak to this better than I can, this is again your lane, but when you have a program, the VA program that says you can't have more than $154,000, if you have debt on your house, how does that affect that?
It doesn't, and that's the great thing. As long as if there's the debt on the house and you haven't taken it out yet, it's considered not countable.
So if you had cash sitting in your bank account, right, then there would be ways that you could potentially pay down your cash.
Absolutely.
Pay your mortgage, but have that line of credit there, so now it gives you more freedom to get access to resources that otherwise you might not have been eligible for.
No, I would have no intent to return. I
Even
want
if
to
you-
make that
No,
clear.
but here's the thing, most people, when they move into an assisted living or whatever, they want to keep their house. A lot of people still want to keep their house. They don't necessarily have the intent to return. But the way that it's legally classified, and unless you're actually writing a document that says, I am never going to return to this place no matter what, even though I own it, you always still have the quote unquote intent to return. So.
Not if you sell it.
No, I'm saying,
That's what I'm saying.
no, what I'm saying too is that I was asking her because I do have a lot of people in your situation that have their homes. They might be 5 years from moving into an assisted living. I mean, most of you don't know what's gonna happen. Would you, if you did the reverse mortgage then, and then 5 years from now you go into an assisted living facility, you have a bucket of money there in your home. Not if you sell it, because a lot of people still wanna have their home for their children, or they still wanna leave that. I'm not talking about if you sell it, but if you go from your home, you have a reverse mortgage in there, and now you go into an assisted living, and you don't sell your home, you still are considered to have the intent to return for a lot of the programs, for Medicaid, for the reverse mortgage, so that the home is an excluded asset. It's just another bucket to be able, again, one of our roles here for all three of us, I think, is to be able to provide you with whatever resources that you have to be able to pay for your future. Because let's face it, at the end of the day, more money buys better care, buys better everything. So if you get stuck at a point where you're only looking at, government benefits to help pay for stuff for you, you're not getting the best of anything. So it's really a way to protect. Listen, I know in my life, my biggest asset is my home.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna eventually wanna tap into that.
I will too. And to answer your question, I will tell you, it is not a hard and fast 5 years. It is I know that I'm moving in a short amount of time, that's a decision that's been planted. The truth is, when we say 5 years, we don't have any idea, right? Like, again, I've bought and sold a lot of homes in my adult lifetime, and my family always jokes, we're never putting your address in the ink in the address book, because I don't know, right? Like, I've had transfers, I've had other, life events, so we don't know. So it's not a hard and fast, it's again, a very personalized decision, and it's a very, very personalized, collaborative recommendation.
Hey again.
Kathy.
Hey again. I have a question for Dave. I think it's safe to say that the majority of us here are 75 plus, okay? So you gave an example of someone that's like 55. Would that example apply to us as well?
No.
It could, and it depends. So one of the things that's required for these programs, this is the pre-event part of my conversation, is you have to have in place while you're healthy and good shape and haven't had any omas, nomas, all that stuff. The lady I just described, she had her thyroid removed 20 years before she got this insurance. So there's ways to get around. If you've had it in the past and you're cancer-free, for example, for 10 years, I got one client had testicular cancer, I got him life insurance, $2 million. Because he was 10 years cancer-free when we applied, and they were okay with that. So it depends. I'm happy to talk to you offline and follow up.
Okay, I just thought for the majority of us, that's more like something that would apply to us more so than someone, younger.
Yeah, because the goal, like she said, the goal is to give everybody the agency and the power to stay where you're comfortable and happy, especially if you're not clicking on all cylinders. When you start to go, decline in mental capacity or physical capacity or both, you're gonna live longer and happier if you're surrounded by your pictures, your stuff, your chair, your couch, your TV, the remote, you understand how it works. That's a big deal. You start getting pushed someplace where you don't have all that stuff around you, that's when people start to decline faster, so we wanna.
Yeah, exactly. And Karen, you had a question up there.
The intent to return. What if you have no family members?
Then you would probably, if you knew you were gonna leave, and then you would probably sell the house. Yeah, I mean, there would be that scenario that I gave you where the kids lived in another state and kept the property so they could use that for housing when they visited. That would be the real application. If there was no other need for the property, there would be really no need to maintain the property there.
And I know last month we had on our eval sheets, if you want a value of your property, I've started doing those and sending them out. I got a little hiccup in my business. I had a few things that were pressing, so that got put in the back burner a minute. But if you still want that, just write on your sheet. I'm gonna do it, I'll send it to you. It's it's just a way to understand what your house is worth. So if you need to have planning, if you need to do planning, you can just have an idea, because a lot of you probably don't have an accurate account. And when you talk with neighbors, they're like, oh, he got such and such, and then they tell me that, and I'm like, well, actually, they got this, So I can help you figure those things out if that's of interest to you.
What is it called that we ask people?
The equity analysis. So understanding the value of your home, and it's not necessarily, it's just it's a figure that based on what other properties have done to estimate what your property would be worth. Now, it's different than if we went to the market and put the house on the market, because then we really need to look at things. And the way the market's going now, it's kind of soft. So we're not necessarily looking at what sold and what they got. We have to look forward in the market and figure out what are people willing to do? What is the market willing to pay? And my recommendation right now is that if you are going to sell, we price a little bit below what other people are doing. Because all the properties on the market right now are overpriced. They're sitting over 50, 60 days. They are overpriced, and the only thing that's going to cure that is fixing it. But if you get to a certain point and you start doing the reductions and all this, what's that saying to you in your mind? What's wrong with that house? Well, nothing's wrong with it. They were just too ill-informed from the get-go. So, the whole point of this is that what I spend a lot of my time doing is following what the market's doing and figuring out the strategies that's going to set people apart and put you in a winning position. I had this lady, she wants to sell her house, and she lives in this community where I had a house for sale. She's a realtor, and she's going to sell her house. And I told her this story. I said, I have a colleague out in Colorado. They had a house that was worth $1.1 million, and they put it on the market with all the other $1.1 million houses, and it sat and sat and sat. And these people were deaf. They had to move, so they took it off. They waited 30 days. They rebranded it, redid the photos. They put it back on the market for $400,000.
It's crazy.
When I told her that, she said, "Oh my God, they're giving it away." I'm like, no. You do not understand. The price is just a marketing strategy. Guess how many offers they had in 4 days? They started at 800. They got 1.2.
No way. That's awesome.
Because they created an auction.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's like, oh my God, I gotta get it. Like, her phone was blowing up. And then they ended up getting more than they had thought. So, it's totally outside the box, and the look on your face was so funny. You were thinking the same thing. I'm not giving my house away. You're not gonna give it away. I promise you, you cannot underprice a house. The market is always gonna dictate where it goes. It's just like water. It will find its natural level. It just will. So, when you look at me like I'm nuts, I am. But there's some logic behind it, okay? Yeah, I will admit, I am nuts. I think you all know that by now. But it also motivates me to do a lot of fun stuff. I want to make sure you mark your calendars, because that ice cream social is going to be fun, and bring canned food, and then you get a ticket for me to go inside and get an ice cream. If you want to go to this downsizing workshop, it's going to be at my office, which is down on PGA. And why? Because they're doing summer reading programs here, and the availability, we can't do it.
It says June 26th.
Yeah, it's wrong. We were going to do it next week, but if you want to be involved in that, mark it, and I'm going to call you. And we're going to figure out who's traveling and what's going on. We'll figure out dates collectively. And fill out your forms, and thank you so much for coming.
Oh, I'm sorry.